Hi everyone, I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and welcome to Countyline, the public access television program featuring news and information about Allen County government. On this edition of Countyline, we profile the county's Human Resources Department. We'll tell you about some of the services it offers to you as constituents, as well as to county government employees. Also, matrimony here in Allen County is now just a mouse click away. It's almost that simple, but we'll tell you about a new way to apply for a marriage license here in the county that is designed to speed the process along. Speaking of speeding the process along, behind me is the Allen County Courthouse, where each day matters involving criminal cases and defendants are heard. The process from the beginning of a case to the end can be extremely time-consuming. Here in Allen Circuit Court, technology is being used to try and help speed the process along while at the same time taking into account a defendant's rights. Recently, we talked with Allen Circuit Court Judge Thomas Feltz about this new innovation. Judge Feltz, first of all, explain a little bit about the purpose behind this recording that you make for those who are working their way through the court system here in circuit court.
Well, the defendant's basic criminal rights include the right to be advised of all sorts of things, a right to plead not guilty, a right to speedy trial, a right to be informed about what charges are filed against them, and that is required to be given to them at two different times. First on their initial hearing, the very first time they appear in court, and then upon entry of a plea of guilty at any time. Because of the high volume of cases we have in our court, I had 60 yesterday afternoon, for example. If we had to do that for each individual defendant, it would just take so much time and we wouldn't be able to get all our cases done in the time we have allowed. So we've been doing for the last few years and updating as necessary a video reading of the rights that we require these individuals to come to court actually a half hour before their normal court appearance and require them to view the rights, and that way we're satisfied that they're advised of the rights that they're supposed to be told about and what's going to take place when they're in court that day.
But that also speeds the process up, as you
Absolutely. It's a more effective use of both court time, staff time, attorney's time, everybody else, yes.
Now, today you recorded an addition to the existing video. And what did that specifically have to deal with?
Well, as I mentioned, the law regarding this area changes from time to time, and it's updated primarily based upon two factors, either changes in statutes that are passed by either the state or local legislatures or the national legislature for Congress, or by court decisions, again, either on a national or a state court basis. Today specifically is a response to a recent United States Supreme Court case called Padilla versus Kentucky, which discussed the issue of someone who was not in the country legally, who was an illegal alien, for lack of a better word, and the fact that because that person entered a plea of guilty, that would affect his ability to remain in the state of Kentucky, Mr. Padilla, as a matter of fact. And he argued successfully to the United States Supreme Court that had he known he would be deported based upon an entry of a plea of guilty, he may or may not have entered the plea of guilty, and so he needed to be aware of that fact before the plea of guilty was entered. The Supreme Court thought that was the right way to go and has made that now the requirement for all of us in the criminal courts. If we come across a defendant who may not be a United States citizen, that person needs to be advised before he or she enters a plea of guilty or before the court enters a finding of guilty after a trial, that act in and of itself may affect that person's deportation status.
And just to give folks a better understanding when we talk about time saving, the amount of time it takes you to remind those defendants of their rights is, I think I understood, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 or 7 minutes?
At least, yes. And then, again, you multiply that by, again, probably, the 60 cases yesterday, for example, in the afternoon period, that would have affected probably a third of them, so that's 20 times 6, 2 hours. You understand how the process works.
Right. Okay. Right. From time to time here on Countyline, we try to take the opportunity to let you know more about different departments and offices within county government, how they function, the services they provide to you, the public, and how they keep county government operating efficiently and smoothly. Today we're on the third floor of Citizen Square, where the Human Resources Department is located. Kathy Serrano is the Director of Human Resources, and she's here with us to tell us about how this department works within county government. Kathy, first of all, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Mike.
I would figure that human resources in a government setting is a lot like in the private setting.
Actually, I'd think it's almost identical. The only difference is where the employee eventually winds up working in the public sector versus for a private company.
Well, let's talk first of all about the obvious role that human resources plays, which would be employment opportunities with the county.
That's right. Through the Human Resources Office is usually the public's first contact with finding a job with the county. We do that right now with online applications. You can access that through our website address. You just go right to the county's main website address and look for job opportunities there. You can come here and visit us in person, and we have kiosks where you can sit down and fill out an application right here. Or you can take a card at home, go to the public library. Anywhere you can access the internet, you can file for a county job. And we only take applications right now for jobs that we currently have posted and open. And we don't collect resumes in general. We like to tie those directly to open occupant jobs so that we tie you directly to something that has your interests in mind.
And it's a wide variety. We're talking about a lot of different areas, obviously, in government that you would have opportunities for.
That's right, Mike. And when we're out at job fairs, I often find people don't realize the opportunities that they have right here in their hometown. Anything from a police officer to a doctor to a nurse to lawyers to clerical type work to highway department work, construction, engineers. There's a wide variety of occupations right here in county government.
You mentioned job fairs. That's another part of human resources, which is recruiting potential new employees.
Yes, both recruiting and just making sure that those people, whether they're high school job fairs or colleges, graduate job fairs, that those individuals, those youngsters know that they've got an application for those skills that they're learning and those degrees that they're getting in various occupations right here in their hometown. They don't necessarily have to leave to find a really great job.
Application process at the beginning. Tell us a little more about the hiring process that's used within county government.
Well, we use the NeoGov application system, which is an online program. We review that here in Human Resources. We get the initial application. Most of our departments like to review the applicants themselves, so we forward that electronic application out to that department head and or administrative person who's going to be reviewing it. They go through the applications, first looking at qualifications. For some jobs, obviously, you have to have the right degree or a previous experience or a background in that area. For example, lawyers or nurses would have to be licensed. So we look first for those qualifications. Then after that, we then look for the experience, and we just divide them into the people that we're going to definitely call in for an interview and the ones who are not qualified or don't meet those baseline requirements. And then most of our departments like to actually schedule their interviews themselves and conduct those interviews, sometimes with Human Resources help and sometimes just within the department themselves.
Now, you're also involved in helping to oversee benefits and salaries. Tell us a little bit about how salaries are determined within jobs of county government.
Well, we have a compensation specialist, and we're very fortunate to have one on staff here in Human Resources. And what that person helps us to do is to work with the department, especially when you're restructuring or devising a new job or there's a new position that needs to be evaluated and put into place. But you look at that position's job description, what the duties are that they're going to be doing, what the qualifications are, and then we use an adapted or modified Oliver system, which means nothing to the layman, but if you're a compensation specialist, it's a type of compensation system that we have used and modified for public sector. Then based upon where that position is, whether it's a professional position, whether it's an occupational specialty such as construction or something like that, they fall in a specific grid or a specific area on that Oliver system, and the pay grades are determined on a grid system, basically, depending on what level that position is. Obviously, a lawyer might be higher than a nurse, or a nurse might be higher than a construction worker or something like that.
So in other words, people aren't just pulling a number out of their head. They're actually comparing it to similar types of jobs
in the public sector, and sometimes kind of looking at it from a private sector standpoint also, because of the quality of individuals you're trying to bring into county government.
Exactly right. We want to get the best qualified individuals we can for the money that we have available. Obviously, with public sector, budgets are always a concern, but we want to make sure we get the right individual for the right job. So it's a very detailed, organized process. We do try to have internal equity, which means across departmental boundaries, if there are similar jobs, we want those to sort of match up. But we also want to have that external equity where we look at people in other public sectors or in the private sector to see that we're paying a reasonable wage for that experience and that level of expertise.
And there's also a personnel committee that's set up within county government that takes a look at these types of things as well. Is that right?
That is correct. Once the compensation specialist and human resources have gone through the initial process of determining what that position is, where it needs to be classified, we take that recommendation to that personnel committee, which is a 3-member panel of county councilmen who have been designated to work in that function. They then hear the recommendation from the human resources department and or the department head that's affected. We make our case as to why it's been the compensation has been determined to be at that level, that pay grade, or in that step or classification. And then the personnel committee, if they agree with us, they take that forward to full council and help us to present that case at full council.
So in other words, this is something that's been thoroughly studied on a lot of different levels before a decision is made as to what kind of pay that particular position will receive.
So thoroughly studied that sometimes it can be a little frustrating for the department head who would like it to move a little bit faster so they can get that position posted and filled because they have a need for that vacancy.
HR also oversees the benefits that county employees received, obviously above and beyond salary.
That's true, and actually that's something that we use in our recruitment phase quite a bit because the county does have an excellent benefits package, and one of the best things about our benefits package is that there are a lot of things to choose from so that an individual can tailor the benefits that they choose to meet their family needs and their situation. Some people have a second income from a different source, some people do not, some people are single heads of household, and so having that benefit flexibility is very important to our employees, and it is one of the biggest benefits for working in county government.
HR also oversees the process if an employee has a grievance and has a problem with the job they have currently.
Absolutely. We keep an open door policy. We accept both formal grievances, formal complaints, but we also just want to talk to those employees if they don't understand an employee handbook rule or a procedure within their department. We like to have an open door policy so that we can talk to them up front before it gets to the level of a formal complaint or grievance. But we do handle all of that within HR. We work hand in hand with our department heads and their supervisors to try and resolve those differences and make sure that the employee understands exactly what the rules are and how they need to function to comply with that, or to go back and fix anything that we do happen to find that maybe isn't just a little bit off or it's not exactly handled the right way.
Again, not unlike the private sector.
Exactly like the private sector in most cases.
Now, HR is also involved with ensuring the county from the standpoint of liability. You have a risk manager here that handles that kind of work.
That is correct. We have a risk manager who also doubles as a trainer. We are a very small staff, so we tend to all wear a couple of different hats in this department. But what the risk manager does is they help to assess risk and potential exposure for the county. They work hand in hand with our insurance underwriter and with our insurance agency to make sure not only that we have insurance, but it's at the appropriate level, it's the right kind of coverage, it's not too much, nor is it too little. We've got our great assets, for example, our courthouse, adequately covered for the wonderful building that it is, but at the same time, we're not spending too much money in something that we're not going to see the benefit of later. So it's a very complex process again. To bid that out, we do that about every 3 or 4 years. We look at the entire county insurance, buildings, fleet, general liability, everything. That takes about 4 months from start to finish just to go through that bidding process because it is a very complex organization. It's almost like bidding insurance for 40 different small companies at once, all with different missions, all with different functions.
So if a county vehicle, say, is involved in a fender bender, or someone takes a slip over the city-county building, which is a building that the county owns, your office gets involved in that, correct?
That's absolutely correct. The risk manager is notified immediately through our county dispatch, basically the 911 service. They make sure that we're on call all the time. If she's not available, I'm next in line. But someone is always available to respond to those situations, to make sure the employee is taken care of if they're injured, make sure the citizen is properly taken care of, incident reports are filled out, and whatever needs to be done is done to correct a safety hazard if we find one.
And it really is to, in essence, protect the taxpayer, because the money from government that's going to be paid out to the individual who's hurt in a situation like that is going to come from the taxpayer at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, that's where all of our funds and revenues come from that we have to operate with. So instead of it being a profit-centered company like you have in the private sector, we're basically in the situation of trying not to spend as much money as we cannot spend, but yet provide the services that we need to provide. So anytime we can save money, prevent accidents, make sure that it's properly done, that's a good thing for the taxpayer.
Let's go back and talk again about the job situation here in county government. I know one of the things that you folks are very involved in is trying to offer good insurance and good benefits, and one way of doing that is the county is self-insured. Explain a little bit about that process.
Okay. We're not completely self-insured, but in certain areas where we have done the analysis and have the history to show that it's better off for the taxpayer, we actually save more money by being self-insured. A good example would be in the workers' compensation area. We've, in the past, many years ago, actually had a workers' compensation policy. We found with our history and our loss rates, we actually have more control, more hands-on control. We're better able to control costs. We're better able to reduce our risk if we have that as a self-insured fund. So that is an example of saving money for the taxpayer, but at the same time, we have not reduced any services for our employees. If they are injured, we definitely want to take care of them. We want to abide by the law and make sure that they're properly and adequately compensated if they have time off due to a work-related injury.
That's one of those areas where Allen County government's really been ahead of the curve, taking the lead, so to speak, in being creative and finding a way to save money for the taxpayer while, as you say, also providing proper coverage for its employees.
That's correct. We've been so innovative in that area that I was recently asked to be on the board of the Indiana Self-Insureds Association, one of the few public sector members of that group. It's a very interesting group. It constantly networking to find more and better ways to save money, because the private sector is also concerned about saving money, and especially in the workers' compensation area. But we are ahead of the forefront on that. We have been able to significantly reduce costs since we became self-insured, and our employees have noticed no differentiation in coverage or services.
Well, Kathy, thanks for your time. We appreciate it, and explaining for the folks at home a little bit about what the Human Resources Department does beyond just hiring people. And we hope they have a better understanding of that and appreciation for the work you and your staff does to, as we said at the start, help county government run smoothly and efficiently. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mike.
So you're planning on getting married. Well, there are a lot of things you have to do to prepare for that. Let's see, you have to find a place to get married in, like a church or the courthouse. You have to make sure and get a caterer set up and flowers. Oh yeah, did you forget about getting the marriage license? That's a very important part of getting married. And we're here at the Allen County Courthouse on the second floor where the clerk of the courts is located. That's where you'll go to get a marriage license. And with us right now is Jerome Slate. Jerome's the deputy clerk in the office. He works in 201, room here in the courthouse where the marriage licenses are doled out, and Jerome's here to tell us a little bit about the process and what you need to know about it. And first of all, thanks for sharing some time with us.
Not a problem.
Let's see. First of all, let's talk about residency requirements. You have to live in Allen County in order to get married in Allen County, or how does that work?
You do have to be a resident of Allen County in order to apply for the marriage license here, but you can get married anywhere in the state of Indiana after you've applied for it.
And is that both participants have to live in Allen County?
One or the other, just as long as their ID states that they are resident or they have some form of proof.
And what would serve as form of proof? What do they need to bring with them in order to apply?
Usually a utility bill, some sort of bill. Driver's license obviously is the one that we prefer. but any type of bill usually is required or helpful.
And out-of-state residents, can they apply here?
They can apply. The fee is a little bit more, but they can also apply.
Well, let's talk.
Everything else stays the same.
And let's talk about the fees. What kind of fees involved?
We have an $18 filing fee for Allen County residents or in-state residents, and then out-of-state is $60.
And something people may not be aware of, that there is a time limit of sorts once you get the marriage license to actually have the ceremony performed.
That's correct. It's 60 days. It's good for 60 days, and then it expires, and then you just have to come back and reapply again if it expires.
Now, there is something new that the Allen County Clerk of the Courts is offering to folks here to kind of help move the application process along. Tell us a little about that.
It's our Insight online service that we provide for people. It's allencounty.us. They can go on there and apply. It just speeds up the process for them while they're at home in the comfort of their own place. And, it usually takes probably 10 to 15 minutes while they're at home. And then that way when they come in, we have a confirmation number that we like to key in. And it takes us probably an additional 5 to 10 minutes, where it used to take us probably about a half hour to do the whole process.
So it's important to note, you still have to come into the office.
You both still have to be here and provide us with the ID. But once again, it helps speed up the process.
In other words, you'll have pretty much the form filled out. You'll pull up from the computer, and you'll just be able to have them come in, as you say, show the necessary proof of residency, pay the fee, and then sign it, and they're on their way.
That is correct. Okay. Yeah.
And also, let's talk a little bit about some of the requirements for those who perform marriage ceremonies. People may not be aware that they have certain duties and responsibilities under law they have to fulfill and do it through your office.
That's correct. They actually will perform the marriage. Once they're finished with the marriage, they actually have to fill out the remaining portion of the application. Then they send it in to us, where then we record it, and then we end up sending the parties that got married, we send them out a certified copy if they choose to pay for that. That's an additional extra $2 in order to get that. But that helps with health insurance. It helps with the bride if she's going to change her last name, Social Security, the BMV. They're going to require that they have that certified copy from our office. And once again, that's a $2 charge that we charge.
And there are penalties under the law if the individual who solemnizes the ceremony doesn't perform these duties.
Well, what we have is called a declaratory judgment, which we will go in, and both parties have to file a declaratory judgment to the courts that states that yes, we were married on this date. If the date is incorrect, if the name is incorrect, we will do the declaratory judgment in order to change everything that needs to be changed on the application or the license.
But it does not invalidate the marriage necessarily.
Correct. They can change or correct the problem or the issue.
Well, we appreciate your time, Jerome. Thanks for explaining a little bit about the process, what folks have to go through, and the new pre-application process that you have. That's going to be very helpful for folks.
Yes, it is. It's going to be real helpful.
And if you want to know more about it, go to our website, which is www.allencounty.us. Look across the top line, pick the Courts tab, click on Clerk of the Courts, and when you get to that page on the left-hand margin, you'll see marriage licenses. Click on that, and you'll get to find out more about what we've talked about here, along with other information to help you get through the marriage license application process. Again, Jerome, thanks so much for your time.
Not a problem. Thank you.
And before we leave you on this edition of County Line, we want to show you a new service that's being made available now through the Allen County Public Library, the City of Fort Wayne, and Allen County government. It's called Video on Demand, and it offers you the opportunity to watch some of the programming that we provide on public access television through your computer at your leisure, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anytime you'd like to watch. Now, the easiest way to get there is just to go to our website, which is allencounty.us, and we've called it up on the screen. And if you look over to the right-hand side down at the bottom, where we have our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook links, there's also a link to Video on Demand. When you click on that, that will bring the service up to you. And as you can see, there are already several different programs that are up and available, videos that you can watch. Fort Wayne City Council, the Allen County Commissioners Meeting, Cable Fund Advisory Board with the city. As I mentioned, also the Allen County Public Library puts up a number of the video offerings that they have on public access television. If you're looking for something specific, say you're wanting just to see some of the county programming that's available, you can click here, go to county, and it will sort the programs for you that the county has put up. If you even want to go deeper into that, you can type a word such as council if you're looking for county council meetings, and there are some of the county council meetings that are up. Normally these go up somewhere 48 to 72 hours after the actual meeting has occurred. So again, if you go to allencounty.us, look for the video on demand link that we have. This offers you the opportunity to watch any of these meetings, again, at your leisure, at home. They are the meetings in full. Also any other video offerings that we have, such as our Countyline programs, will be put up in full. You'll be able to scan across to find specific areas in the meeting that you want to look at, but the meetings in their entirety are there. So if you happen to miss it on the public access television, you will have the opportunity to see it online, on your computer, at home, at work, wherever you are, where you have access to the internet. So once again, go to www.allencounty.us, find the video on demand link, click on that, and check out this new service being provided free of charge to you. That does it for this edition of County Line. I'm Mike Green, the Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office. We hope to see you next time on County Line.